everybody, it's Ryan. Welcome back to How Farms Work. In this very special video, we're gonna go inside and see how ethanol is made. Let's get started.
I'm not awake, are you?
Okay, so you guys are here waiting for us then?
Hi,
I'm Gary Wessels, glad to meet you.
Ryan, nice to meet you too. So, are you gonna be giving us a tour? Mm-hmm. All right, so, yeah, this is our camera girl, hang on.
Okay, that's so what do you want to see? You want me to do a tour like we normally do for like FFA kids and stuff like that?
Sure, if you want to explain basically from start to finish.
That's what I do.
That would be awesome.
It worked, okay?
Cool.
Great.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep. It's just like with Jana here, she's our scale house coordinator here. She's been here since day one. And yesterday we had over 200 trucks that came in here. That's kind of like our steady run lately.
Morning.
Well, 195,000 bushel of corn came in yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And usually from the time they scale in to the time they scale out, there's nobody back there waiting. It's less than 8 minutes. So we can move a lot of trucks in and out. So she's our first line of defense. So if there's any problem with this sample that she runs, if it's over 15% damage or whatever, or it doesn't meet our quality specs, we do reject them. Usually from farmers we don't. There'll be about 200 trucks that come in. These are all corn coming in. We're also loading a barge, and they'll be going past here because everything gets done in the back there on the way, unless we get an overrun of trucks. Then what we'll do, we'll send certain flat trucks down here, we'll send them to the flat, we'll load them over the side with the loader. Not a flat storage, but today our inventory is down loading up. They all got to load out instead. Okay. Next one, we're going to the lab. This is Monica, she's our lab manager. Okay. So she's going to take care of the football from here for a little bit.
I am? Okay.
All right, what are you doing here?
So the lab is responsible for certification. We also do all of our testing to make sure our firms are healthy and happy, that the yeast are performing, that we're producing ethanol. And so with certification, we also do our third-party send-out, so we package a lot of stuff. So in order to ensure that our DDGs and our wet cake are safe for animals to eat, according to you know, all the requirements that are there. So we send them out, they test them, make sure that we can sell them and that animals are happy.
Okay.
So yeah, so this is kind of, I got some samples out for you guys. The only thing that's missing here is the corn.
Okay.
So after it goes through the hammer mills, if you want, you can feel it. It's nice and soft. It's just corn flour is all it is.
Just pulp.
Yeah, just pulp. So that goes through our blender. Once, and we add in processed water. We add a couple enzymes to help break apart all of the corn even further. Does anyone else want to feel any corn? Some corn flour. I felt corn flour before. So once we add our processed water and our enzymes to help break it down, we get slurry. Okay. So this slurry, I grabbed this sample a little bit ago, so it's kind of extra thick, but you can see just how thick it is inside of here. Okay. And then from slurry, we just make it really, really hot. We add a couple more enzymes to break it down. It goes through what we call liquefaction, and then we dump them into our fermentation tanks with yeast. So we get yeast started, our fermentations happen. You'll notice this one starts to smell a little bit.
Is this before or after it's fermented?
So this is about 29 hours in on our fermentation. So yep, about halfway. Actually a little over. So, yep, you can actually see it's bubbling inside of there.
So it's still going? It's still going.
This is actively fermenting until it cools completely down and those yeast are no longer producing for us. Okay. It'll keep bubbling. So sometimes these will stay warm for a little while. So during the winter months, it's nice to collect samples. Things stay toasty. About 58 hours in is our peak max ethanol production that we can get. So we put it into the beer well. So you can tell it went from flour to really thick and viscous to it gets thinner and thinner and thinner. And so this here smells just like beer bread.
Yeah, it does.
Just like beer. So, and then from our beer well, it goes through our distillation process where we end up getting our 200 proof out. So we separate our big solids and anything that is not alcohol through our distillation. So we make 200 proof, and then in order to get the 200 proof to be sold for trade and tobacco purposes, we dirty it up a little bit with a little bit of denatured, we call it denatured ethanol, so it's a little bit of gasoline, and then we add a corrosion inhibitor as well in the process. So the lab's in charge of testing each kind of one of these processes.
This is a cooling tower that we use, and the reason we have a cooling tower is because in process you generate heat through your fermentation. So what we try to do here is every place where we either have water coming in or water going out, we're either trying to take temperature off water we're trying to add heat to the water, so it saves on our utility bill as far as we're increasing the temperature. We're trying to decrease, because in your fermenters you want to stay underneath the 85-degree temperature. The reason you do that is that makes your yeast work better, and that way you get a better yield for on your fermenters. And once they get too high, actually it makes the yeast lazy, and they don't keep eating, they don't keep producing, and then so you get a lower yield sometimes during the summertime because they get too hot. But since then, technology has changed, and some of these new yeasts that are coming out are able to work at a higher temperature, so it's not quite so critical.
Okay.
By the time we go through our process, and when we go through our sand filters and our lagoon system, the water's cleaner going out than we pull out of the ground.
Cool.
Back to the environment. All we do is use it for a little bit.
Yep. This is probably my favorite part of the drive through here, when you can smell the
modified?
Yep.
We try to do the best we can as far as we're making a modified product. This goes to all cattle producers, and I got dairy accounts in a 3 or 4 state area, and we make a 50 to 55% moisture product, so it's a little drier than some of these others. As you can see, we don't have water running any place in here. So what we do is when we go up and trim, we're actually putting syrup back on the product to make the moisture out, rather than putting water or steep water on it. This is actual syrup product. Syrup is like 8% protein, but it's like 65% moisture. So we get our wetness back into the product to make a moist feed for it, and the cattle love it.
What kind of syrup is it? Like, where do you source it from?
Distillation.
Yep.
We separate the syrup from the oil from the corn.
Okay.
This comes back too when we do it coming off the beer well, we go through the centrifuges, we squeeze that back out, we try to get the water to go back that way. Out of that water, we take the syrup back out, we dry it back down, we take we evaporate the water back off it to make that product dense, and we bring it back this way, we put it back on the product.
Okay.
So it's a closed circle.
So yeah, so you return it back to the
So we turn it back
product.
here. So at the end of the day, when I get 200 trucks of corn in here, by the end of the day, when I go back out, there's nothing wasted. It's a total profit situation where either we're selling DDG, modified corn oil, and I don't sell the syrup that's on here.
Okay.
So some places you get, in other appliances, see where they're selling syrup all the time, but for $8 a ton, it's a better product here for the farmer, because it's going to be more advantageous to him to feed that than go up there and just feed just regular DDG.
Okay.
That's why the cattle guys here like this, and we sell 1,800 ton a week out of here.
Really?
So there's not too many plants that do that, but I came from a nutritional or from the feed background, where this product here, it's a good product. It makes it work better.
So do you just load it right here with
end loader?
End loader? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed this setup here. Is this where you load straight ethanol?
This is straight ethanol. It's also our receiving part, because we're federally mandated by the government to put gasohol number 6 back in the ethanol. Okay. That's why we call it ethanol instead of alcohol. Okay. That's so you people don't drink it. That's
okay.
what we have to do. So when you look at those tanks out there, they're all loaded with 29,000 gallons worth of ethanol. But when you go to Canada, you can't. It has to be straight alcohol.
Really?
So that's when we had to do a little bit difference in process, where we don't add the gasohol number 6 back. It go straight alcohol, but it has to be designated to go to Canada. Okay. So there's different rules and regulations you have to do on certain products. Is what you do. So
okay. But
this works out good. We get 5-6 trucks of ethanol out usually a day, but we probably get 3 in of gasohol coming in to blend in. Okay. It says denatured ethanol on there. That's a 1 million gallon fuel tank right there. We have 2 of them, and the reason you got 2 of them, because once in a while your rail cars don't get back in time. We've grown in size here where we run 4 unit trains a month out of here. So when we're running that fast, you got to have storage there. And each one of those, well, we're running 373 to 375 gallons a day that we make. Yep. So one of those, a 1 million gallon tank's about 3.5-4 days worth of storage time. So you got 2, so you roughly got a week. Sometimes your rails are out there a week. You get them down in Tampa, Florida, they might take a month before those cars come back. If you go to Canada, it might take 6 weeks to get back. Depends upon the turnaround and how fast they make it. But usually we can ship a unit train out here. There's one going out right now. You can get out to Seawarren. It goes there, or it goes to Tampa, Florida. Seawarren takes about 21 days to get back. And when you go to Tampa, Florida, down to Sunoco Fuels, so if you ever watch NASCAR and they see that Sunoco fuel sign on it, some of that's our fuel that's going in there. So that's kind of cool and stuff. But usually then it takes about 30 days to get back. So that's how you got to keep your logistics going. That's where our broker for our fuel people, which is CHS out of St. Paul, Minneapolis, takes care of all that.
So They'll take the ethanol, send it down to Florida. Now, when it gets down there, is that where it gets blended? And
that snowball fields down there, yes.
Yeah, and then it gets distributed. Does it come back up in the same rail cars?
No,
okay.
Rail cars won't come back empty.
Come back empty. Okay.
Yeah. We don't transport any fuel coming back because it's all going out to the East Coast. That's where all your big pipelines are at. That's where it gets injected and gets pushed back this way.
Okay.
Unless you get some of these local trucks, you have trucks here will go to Molo in Dubuque. They inject it in there, or they might sell a full load of direct ethanol to some other producer. That's on their side of things, not mine. This is our flat storage.
Flat storage. So
this is the product we're making right now. And as you see, it's kind of warm and humid in here.
yeah.
And the reason behind we do this is because we have to give it like a 24-hour cure rate. The reason you do that is because that way it makes the product flowable.
Okay.
If you put it in hot like this going into a semi, which sometimes we do, you get a comment from the producer on the backside, it hung up in my bulk bin,
I've
or
heard
hung
that.
up in my trailer.
Right.
But we had we're filling a barge this week again, or 2 of them. 2 weeks ago, the barge company broke down on a Friday, and we had one of our truckers up there. He had 3 of his loads there, and 2 of them that came from a different facility. And on Monday morning, his 3 loads were the next one, so unload. Each one 10 minutes to unload. The next 2 came out of a different facility. It was probably something like that. It took them 4.5 hours to unload those 2 loads.
Oh.
So, needless to say, all those truckers want to come down here and haul our product versus hauling the other product because it just don't come out. So it's just a wild thing. But he's almost done. Usually in a day there's 750 ton per pile. And he started here at 6 o'clock this morning. He did a few other things, so he'll be done here in another 15, 20 minutes. He'll have 750 ton pushed back in the silo.
Okay, so where does he load it from here? Or where does it go from here? Just
we'll follow you.
We're heading over there? All right.
When you're looking at that whip right here, it's going up that elevator there. Okay. And it's going to go into this DDG storage silo. And what we do there, that's what we load out going to our bulk ware. And it goes up over the top. You see where that truck is over there? There's a computerized loadout computer layer that this gray thing right above you weighs the batches going out. The guy wants 54,000 pounds. They key that in the computer up there. That kicks in up there, and it's a Wayromatic. It weighs on the run. It'll come up and load that truck that's sitting right there underneath the arm. So when we walk through there, you'll be able to see when he swings out. That's how he loads those trucks.
Okay.
And we can usually load those trucks anywhere between 8 to 10 minutes apiece. And so we're getting either 6 or 8 loads an hour out of this place.
Yeah, so this building looks very familiar to me.
Yeah, if you're on this side.
Yep.
And these guys here are the ones, there's a guy sitting up there in that office up there. He's looking over the top. He's got us running door number 3. Okay. And he'll fill out all these guys here. This is load number 23 out of here so far this morning since 6 o'clock. And hopefully we get another 15 to 20 loads out of here today before we run out.
We call it the bulkwear system. There's 3 hoppers in there. The middle one has a scale on it, so that's where it's weighing the product out. So like we don't go 80,000 for the semi. We weigh out just the product, not the whole semi.
Okay.
So then it's making little batches, about 5,000 pounds at a crack, sending it over.
All right. We got 3 options here to bring corn in. We got truck 1, truck 2, truck 0 is for our dryer, and anything that's over 17% moisture gets sent to the dryer. And that's our dryer. It's a 13,000 bushel hour dryer with a 154,000 bushel wet holding bin behind it. Everything here has a air filter on it. All the dust that comes off these trailers gets sucked down, so make sure that your environmental is good. Our 2 cement silos, each one of these 2 cement silos holds 500,000 bushel of corn. Inside the silos, there's also a center down through the middle. There's a 30,000 bushel dirty day bin on top. Then it goes down to a set of rotary cleaners. Then it goes down to a 15,000 bushel cleaning bin. Then it goes through 2 cleaners. That's what you see right there in that door. Those cleaners are above that. Any debris that comes out gets dumped in here. So if a trucker loses his cell phone down here, it'll come down here sometime.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, we pick all kinds of cell phones out.
Okay.
That and rocks and bolts and whatever else comes flying out. 2 legs here, they're 30,000 bushel on our legs. So we can unload 30,000 bushel in each one of these truck bits here, and also in that dump there. So we can move 90,000 bushel of corn in an hour through truck bits. And then we got 2 1 million bushel bins behind this. You'll see 1 and 2. So we got on-site storage here about 3.5 million bushel of corn. And that's good enough for maybe 3/4 of a month. So you grind 125,000 bushel a day. That first manway is in your dirty day bin up there. Then it goes down to the rotary screens. Then it hits the 4 hammer mills. They grind 6,000 bushel an hour. Then it drops down into the flour conveyor. Flour conveyor goes all the way over, and then the first thing it stops and processes is the first place where we start adding water and enzymes too. There's a big batch mixture up there, goes around and around. It gets dilutes with water, and it drops down to the next thing. It's pumped over to lick, and then it starts the process. Slurry. You gotta make everything into a slurry 1 and slurry 2, and then it goes through the hydro heater, and then finally gets going to lick 1 and lick 2, where the fermentation starts the process. And then we also got to continue to feed on one of the fermenters, and that's how you start building your fermenters up. It takes about 52 hours for them to cook, and then they're ready to make alcohol. Okay. And then over here on the right-hand side, you see those 6 modules with the little red covers on them?
Yeah.
Those are your mole sieves. Okay, you hear that? That's a mole sieve that's starting to regenerate for their next go-around. What that does, it takes all the moisture out of the alcohol. It's got little beads in that cylinder, about that big. They got little holes in it. A molecule of water can't go through it, but a molecule of alcohol can. And when it gets down to the bottom, you got 190 proof alcohol. And that goes back to the tank pump.
So that's the final stop for the alcohol.
That's the final step before it goes over to those big tanks over there.
Okay. Yeah, you see the pipes coming out. That goes back
That's how it works. And these things on to the left of that, those are your evaps. Okay. That's where we take the moisture out of the syrup. Okay. We take this
tall one over here?
Yeah, there's 7 of them in a line. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And that's a shell and tube heat exchanger in there where you got heat going down through. And what we're doing, we're trying to make that syrup get hot enough where we go up there and take the moisture back off it. And then we send that back over to cook water. And then we use that in the next process. So here's how it starts looking. After it goes through, comes across the top, start adding water to it. This is our slurry. It's starting to get liquid. This is where we add our first glucose to it. And what we do with that, it makes it slimy, so it's easy to pump, because everything from here on gets pumped. There's no screw orders on it. It's all done by pump. And it goes through like slurry 1, slurry 2. And that's when we start bringing the heat up into it to make that slurry slicker. And what we're trying to do in slurry is to take the starch out of the corn. And it has a long chain of sugar bricks in it. We want to make sure that get hot enough. And then what the enzyme does is starts breaking that chain down. So then the yeast can't eat a whole chain, but they can eat a brick at a time. So that's what it does. Single brick at a time makes your alcohol. Yeah, like we were talking before about if a rock goes through the screens in the mill, this is a mash strain A, mash strain B, and that blue thing is a strainer inside. So if there's any foreign product that gets in there and the flowability does not work, then the operator has to come back, take that out and dump it, and then he has to get back a hold of maintenance and find out what's going on. After we mix it through the mash strain, you see that little green hydro heater right back here with the little green. That's just the first batch of steam that gets added to the product, so we raise our thick well more to bring that starch down again. And then it goes to our slurry 1 and slurry 2, our cook 1, cook 2. And those tubes are also getting heated. So the higher we get to cook, this is where we start breaking all that mash down. Okay. But once we get that done, then it's ready to go to a fermenter. And we start filling fermenters. We've got 7 fermenters, so you got one for almost 1 every day of the week.
What's the advantage of being able to run it hotter over having a lower temp?
Because you can run hotter. The reason is because our ambient temperature outside, you get a 100-degree day like today, we'd have to kick in our big chiller in to cool water down, so it saves energy again. So it's a win-win on both sides of the street. We haven't started a big chiller up yet. Okay. When you kick that thing, that's like 50K when you wind him up. Oh wow. Once you push that button, you want to dedicate to do it. Okay.
Really? Okay. The reason you have windows down here is just to make sure that everything's still moving.
Oh yeah.
If it don't, that's going to be big problems.
If you see one of these things not moving, there's 2 great big props in there, and they're this big. They're bigger than what I am. Shaft into that big, and if they're not moving, you're not making alcohol. Okay. So then you got a dead firm, so everything that you stuck in that firm for corn wise, yeast wise, and extra money in there, you don't let them go bad.
I was gonna say,
that's your sugar daddy right there.
What would you do if it did? Like, what would you do with that stuff?
We would probably run it through the process and just take what you get. Okay. But the problem is, you're gonna have a lot more DDT coming out than what you normally would, because it didn't get broke down and starch, because you have more starch going that way. So it's a balance. What you see in here is your centrifuges for corn oil. Okay. What we do, we take the syrup off of our distillation number 7, 8 evaps, and we pump that over here. And then what we'll do, we'll spin that back out. And what we're doing, we're making a corn oil. and we make about 15,000 gallons a day. That goes to a lot of these biodiesel plants. Okay, we just walked into the control center, and you see that young man over there with them 4 big screens over there. He's the one that's running everything from the hammer mills to here to going out the back door.
Here's that little pump going. Yep. That's taking the 190 and improving it up to 200.
How?
Just taking that little bit more moisture out of it is what we're doing.
Okay. Probably, yeah. Just
Okay.
stick it in
there.
All the goods.
There's those. Well, we just finished up our tour of Big River Energy, and that was interesting to say the least. I was saying to some of those guys that followed along that there's a lot more to it on the inside than there is on the outside, because, you know, coming here occasionally you start to figure out what does what, but going inside the buildings, there's a lot more to it than what you'd think from the outside, because we came out the other side of that building and I didn't know which direction was north. But we got a pretty strong rainstorm now, but we're gonna start heading back home. I'd like to give a thank you to Gary for giving us a tour around the ethanol plant, and I'd like to give a thank you to Monica for giving us a tour of the lab and showing us the product in its various stages. Now, if any of you are interested in learning more about ethanol, I highly recommend that you go to an ethanol plant and see it in person. It definitely puts it into perspective when you can see the various places and stages that the corn goes through to become ethanol and modified DDGs. So it was definitely an educational day, and I hope you guys learned something from this video. I know that I did when we were there, and I would highly recommend going and seeing it for yourself. It was very interesting to see in person, and it was cool getting to see the plant a little bit closer up, being as that I've been there before. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to check out all of our other videos. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. All How Farms Work. And with that, I'll see you next time.